Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 5 or so secretly insane brawlers, which people are really sleeping on, especially since ESL was a couple of days ago. We've got some competitive data to back this up. And not only that, I've been playing a bunch of Power League. And speaking of Power League, make sure to check out my streams every single day on YouTube around 5 PM BST time. Hopefully in a couple of days or even tomorrow I should be able to get masters. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Guys, so jumping into probably the most underrated slash secretly broken brawler in the game right now, we have a Lola. So Lola, for the longest time, she keeps going in and out of the meta. She's like a yo-yo. Literally one meta she'll be pretty underrated and really strong. The next one she'll just be underwhelming. So for me, I think she's in a state where she's really underrated, and it goes to show with the competitive data. So if you guys were wondering, ESL was literally the only competitive data we've got recently, and basically Lola was the third most played brawler across EMEA. Of course, it can be different across different regions, but it just goes to show Lola's a really good pick. So the main reason why Lola is so good right now in the meta is because of his Sealed with a Kiss star power. So Sealed with a Kiss is really good and really underrated on a game mode like Hot Zone. It can really help with survivability, help you of course stay in a hot zone for longer, and yeah, it's just really good, and it can pair well with your teammates as well. Not only can you heal yourself, of course, with the ego, you can heal up your teammates on the lane, so that can be a really fantastic option to have. So I'm actually going to put our ego out here just to tank that 3k shot, but it should be able to help the retriever heal up right here. And of course, not only can you heal up, you can just deal so much damage even without the improvised star power. If you have the reload gear and also the damage gear as well, you're still going to be able to put out so much damage. So you don't have to worry about the damage that you're missing out on the star power. Survivability, of course, on this game mode can be so incredibly strong. So you can see here, once we start getting our setup, it can be really hard for the opponents to actually turn things around. So Shelly's going to run in here. We should just be able to run straight into. We're going to pop our gadget again to try and stay alive for a little bit longer. Again, it's sometimes it can be a little bit awkward though. So for example, I was trying to heal up there, but then if I run in front of my ego, the Shelly will just hit me. So you got to try it and use some brain cells to try and maneuver in between tanking for your ego and of course ego tanking for you. Again, I could just heal up my teammates right here. Tick is so annoying, but not even that strong. I can, most of the time I can just heal up the amount with this Sealed with a Kiss star power. So also, if you're wondering where of course Lola is really strong on, this star power is going to be pretty much the better star power in every single game mode, I would say, except for Heist. Of course, Heist damage is the name of the game, so you want to be keeping the other star power. And also, if you're playing Power League, of course, if you're facing off against high HP brawlers, you probably want to stick with the other star power that gives you extra damage. But still, this is so good. I'm seeing Lola in some weird places, like I'm seeing Lola in Knockout, Bounty, all of these weird scenarios just because of its star power. Incredibly underrated, and I think Lola is one of the best for sure. And also in terms of just overall pick and ban rate, I think she's in nearly the top 10. So just going to show she's actually really strong in this meta. Let's jump into the next one. Alright guys, so jumping into the next really underrated brawler within the game right now, I went with Rosa. So I know I've been pushing the Rosa propaganda for a while now, but trust me, I've got the data to back it up. So unfortunately I just ran into a Shelly. I'm pretty dumb. But as I was saying, with Rosa, she was at the top 10 in terms of picked and banned within ESL at the moment. So literally just going to show the pros really value the Rosa at the moment. And you know, Rosa is a kind of tough brawler to pull off a lot of time in competitive. Of course, she's got very limited range, and with so many different counters to her in the meta right now, still can be pretty hard sometimes for her to pop off. But you know, she's a fantastic option still. For me, you've got to always think about facing off against Rosa. It kind of reminds me of course, of like the Ashe meta. So you remind yourself of the Ashe meta. Literally, even though he's not like picked a ton and he may not seem the most broken brawler, you always got to think about him in the draft, because if you don't have a relevant counter in your composition, you're just going to get destroyed. So it may seem dumb me running into a Shelly there, but with the help of my Thorny Glove star power, which again is really underrated, I just absolutely shred through some people. So unfortunately, got no backup in terms of the mid right here. Really need some backup because they're about to get the countdown. I should be able to get my super again here. The thing about 8-bit, he hasn't really got his turret in a great spot, so he's going to TP back to it. We're going to be able to take him down. So of course Rosa, there's just so many bushy maps right now in the meta that Rosa's going to be able to thrive, whether you pick either star power. This star power is going to be really good in gem grab. She's a force in gem grab, Brawl as well, she's pretty strong overall. I'd say she's even stronger on ladder because, of course, you can just make her work with pretty much every single composition. So Rosa, the stats back it up. I wasn't lying when I was saying that she's a really strong brawler in the game. Just make sure to use her as much as possible because she's so strong with that brand new tank trait. Let's hop into the next one. All right, guys, jumping into the next brawler, which I think... I know I was wrong, guys. I was wrong. Shelly is one of the most underrated brawlers right now, in a sense. Like, I did try and tell you guys that she wouldn't be the strongest, but I just can't ignore the data. I was pretty wrong in a tier list as well. I feel like she definitely is an A tier brawler at the moment. Data would even suggest she's still an S tier brawler. So the main reason being why she's so strong is because of the clay pigeons. Clay pigeons is so ridiculously strong, and of course there's a lot of bushy maps, so you just pop the speed gear onto her and she's literally just so speedy. Again, like Lightning McQueen, she's able to run around the map so fast. And of course, the thing about her as well, she can even be used on long range maps because clay pigeons, as long as you get some good value with it, it's just going to allow you to get a free super. And that's, I think, the most scary thing with Shelly, is that, of course, you pop the gadget, you get super, and then you can just start running into their faces. Because what can they do? What can any aggro brawler do against the Shelly? They can't do anything unless you're just the worst Shelly in the world. You're not going to lose some of these matchups, you know, against Mortis, against some of these tankier options. And it's just pretty hard. I know, again, I thought tanks would actually thrive a lot more in the meta, but because of Shelly being the third most picked / banned brawler in competitive, I just still think that it's pretty hard to pull off a tank. So yeah, I was pretty wrong. I still feel like she might be overrated a little bit. That's just my bias, but in terms of stats and competitive, she's very underrated in terms of, like, people are thinking that she's really weak, myself included. So Shelly, she's a very strong brawler, could even be in the S tier, to be honest. Let's hop into the next one. Moving on to the next brawler, which this is more so my personal opinion on who is really secretly underrated, maybe even, I won't really say broken, definitely underrated, it is Leon. So this time around, the competitive data doesn't back up my points. So Leon was literally, I don't even think he was no, he wasn't used or banned at all recently in the ESL land. So just going to show that pros don't really value Leon. So whether pros are underrating him or whether he's just trash, let me know what you think in the comment section below, because again, this might be just me. You know, I love playing Leon. I think he still has a place in the meta sometimes, especially when it comes down to, like, the knockout and bounty meta. And I feel like the main reason maybe why he isn't being picked so much is because, you know, brawlers like Tara can scout him out so easily with the gadget. But still, I feel like he's a pretty good option. He's pretty versatile a lot of the times, just good pretty much everywhere. I can get away from that Rosa in time. I should be able to get the Tara down here. That pet, nearly actually killed me. Rosa's going to use super. Unfortunately, not going to survive right there. But yeah, the good thing about Leon is I feel like he's underrated. Like in ladder, at least he can pretty much push him everywhere. But I just don't see him at all anymore, which is a big surprise because, of course, before the vision gear really affected him, he was one of the best brawlers in the game easily. He was always top 10 in the meta. So I thought once they reverted this vision kind of buff with the gear, I felt like he was going to return to his former self, but he didn't really. He's not really involved himself in the meta whatsoever. So should be able to take down Tara there. Golden Retriever's going to clean up on the Rosa as well and get all of the gems, and we should just be able to sneak up on this Primo and take him down. So gonna pop off super as well. Primo's gonna jump over us. We're going to easily sneak our way onto a Tara because she is the biggest threat. But you can see here, definitely did pop off in my moments. I feel like Leon does need a little bit of love, but I just think he's underrated. He just isn't being considered in the draft whatsoever. He's still got a place in Hot Zone, for example. Can be sneakily underrated in Knockout and other areas as well. Let me know what you think the problem is with Leon, but as I said, this might be personal bias. I think he's secretly underrated. So let me know who you think. Well, let me know in the comment section below who you also think are the most underrated brawlers in the game. Don't forget to check out my streams and use code SPEN in the shop, and I'll see you guys next time.